Hey everybody, welcome to the Stash Report from the Stash Project. This is going to be our Shizouka Hobby Show preview video, as it were. The actual show itself is the second weekend of May, but we have gotten the release schedule for basically the next 3 months. All of the Aoshima stuff we're going to talk about is supposed to come out in July. We'll see about that. And then we have some Hasegawa stuff as well, and that is going to be coming out basically over May, June, and July. We also going to cover some BMAX stuff. They're building some stuff for display at Shizouka, as well as going over the stuff coming out of modelers. Now, we don't do a lot of resin stuff on here, but of course you guys know that I have gotten a bunch of this stuff and I like it, so we're going to go over what they're planning to do for the summer as well. And so I guess we'll just plow headlong into it. So we'll start over at Aoshima, and they're, everything's going to come out in July nonsense. They're going to reissue 2 kits into the tuned model car lineup, and they are the RE Amemiya RX-7, as well as the Genesis Auto Nissan Skyline R30. The Genesis Auto Skyline, probably one of the more requested reissues. It is basically a body kit for the Nissan R30. Has what looks like a set of Watanabes. I've never actually had the kit in my hands to confirm whether or not they're really Watanabes or they're just a 8-spoke knockoff type of deal. But that kit, like I said, has been much requested. Hasn't been out in probably a good 10 to 15 years. So I know a lot of people will be happy to see that come back out. They're also going to reissue in the model car lineup their Crown Royal Saloon G, marketing it as a 1989. I want to say the last time this kit was available was the one with the Fortec photo etch wire rims. And it's been a while, quite a while actually, since it's been available with like a factory stock appearance package. It's always had some tweak or another done to it. I also believe that they're tooling up a new set of wheels in here to, again, give you a complete factory stock look with it. Again, there was a set of wheel covers that came in a police version of this kit back in the mid-1990s, but there's never really been a full factory set of correct sort of, above the baseline, below custom wheel, the actual wheel that it came with out of the dealership. And a slightly modified reissue. They're going to reissue their Toyota Truno AE86 in an early spec. Those kits have like an early spec and a late spec, the difference being taillights and a few other little bits and pieces. The Truno will be released in a GT Apex, which is just a little bit of a body kit. It's going to have a new spoiler tooled up because the Apex GT has a different rear spoiler than the late version does. That kit will come with an engine. They're also going to modify their early version of the Toyota Corolla 11, which of course is the one with the composite headlights, the Truno being the one with the pop-up headlights. The Truno is good. The 11 rather is going to be base kitted into the 1500 SR, which is kind of an interesting little turn on existing kit. That is right now supposed to be a curbside, and it's going to have new wheels tooled up for it, new decals for the body markings for the base model and things like that. The Truno Apex GT is going to have a set of wheels that were tooled up back in the 1990s, I believe 1994. They're actually in the most recent pre-paint reissue of the 11, which we'll talk about in the upcoming Stash Report because that kit just came out this week. But basically those wheels were tooled up a long time ago, and I don't know if they've seen the light of day in a Truno or a 11 kit in years and years, because they're factory stock wheels and everybody wants custom everything, so kind of interesting. One last modified reissue will be the Liberty Walk R35. This is going to be the version 1.5. Now this is taking the existing Liberty Walk body kit, putting it onto what has been a modified into 2017 Nissan GTR. So it's going to have a new front fascia, new rear fascia parts, a new hood, It's going to have the same wheels as the version 1, so those are carryovers, but there are probably about 17, 20 parts that are going to be new in this kit to update the body to the current GTR. It'll be interesting to see if we get just a street version of this 2017 GTR. Now, the modelers, the resin guys, have made a resin 2017 Nismo, or resin 2017 GTR, and are going to be making, and then I believe it comes out next month, a Nismo version of the 2017 GTR. So I know for a lot of people, they'd rather not spend $80, $90 on a resin kit, would rather have the production plastic kit. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with that. It was kind of surprising that they never updated the GTR kit into the current body style that has been a tradition at Aoshima, starting from that kit came out in 2008, was to constantly update it into, the next, tweak, if you will, of the GTR, and they never did update it into the current one. So now they kind of sort of have with a new body kit. So it'll be interesting to see if they do a street, just factory stock version. And then last but not least, they're going to be doing one new toolkit for the summer, and that is something that I think a lot of people who are into Skylines. Let's put it that way. It's probably not something a lot of people wanted US-wise, but a lot of people those of us who are into Skylines, they're going to be doing a Nissan Skyline R34 25 GT 4-door. Now, they have the basis of this kit kind of, sort of, in the D1 Grand Prix car that they constantly reissue now as being the Urace Skyline. However, the Urace Skyline, because it was designed to be a D1 Grand Prix drift car, does not have a full interior, does not have a factory stock body attached to it. I mean, it has a 4-door body, but it doesn't have a factory stock front or rear end. Obviously, it doesn't have factory stock wheels and tires and things like that. So this is going to be a completely new tool kit. They 3D scanned one of these, 4-doors. This was sort of like the most performance-oriented 4-door Skyline you could get. The GTS, the 25 GT rather, is a turbocharged car. It's like a 4-door Skyline, or 4-door GTR, except it doesn't have the all-wheel drive and several of the really high-end performance mods that are done to make a GTR. So it's it's as good as you can get without being quite on par with an actual GTR. There's only ever been one 4-door GTR, and that was way back at the very beginning in the 1960s. Fujimi makes several versions of the 25 GT 2-door. It's ironically the one kit that they make, while kind of hinky on some of the body fit and things like that. The exhaust doesn't necessarily line up with the back bumpers on a couple of the couple of reissues like the Nismo and things like that. But it is the one R34 GTR they make that the chassis is actually correct for, because the big knock on Fujimi's GTRs have always been that they have a very generic Nissan chassis that does not have all-wheel drive. So even their GTRs are rear-wheel drive, which is not correct, of course, but a lot of times you're building a curbside, you're building it for the appearances, not exactly technical correctness. But be that as it may, again, it's an all-new tool, and should be interesting to see what they do with it in the future. There's actually be two versions of that. One's going to be a factory stock kit, and one's going to be one of those option wheel kits that they like to do on new tools. Unfortunately, for me, kind of blandly, the optional tool on this, the optional wheels on this are T37s. I understand why they didn't tool new wheels, because, they like to tool wheels in sets of 4 so they can run off all 4 of them at one time and release them in, sets of wheels. So you'd have to create 3 more sets of wheels. Oh God, no, not that. But T37s are not the most inspired choice, really, kind of on everything. But yeah, it is what it is. Over at Hasegawa, they're going to be reissuing a number of things, of course, and there are one modified reissue in all of this, and then there are 2 brand new tools at Hasegawa. So let's jump into this. On the straight reissue side of things, they're going to reissue their 2005 Subaru WRX rally car for the Japanese, or the Rally Japan, the Japanese rally. They're going to be reissuing their Jaguar XJSC V12 Cabrio, which is, of course, the convertible version of the 1980s Jaguar. This makes all of the kits have now been reissued. The last time the Cabrio was reissued was 2004, so it has been 14 years since that kit has come out last. The Cabrio does have left-hand drive, so there's that. Also has right-hand drive, but it has left-hand drive. And then, it's factory stock reissue, so there's nothing really new about it. They're going to reissue their Mitsubishi Lancer Evo 3. it's been a long time since the Evo 3 has been reissued. Go look for an Evo 3 on eBay, or even on like Bai or Japanese Yahoo Japan auctions. Those kits are expensive, even in Japan. They're much better than the Fujimi Evo 3 counterpart. Obviously, they go well with their Evo 4 and their Evo 5 that they did as street cars. But I know a lot of people will be excited to have that kit back, just because it won't be, $90 anymore. It'll be back to its normal $20. Let me see what else. They're going to be reissuing the Mazda Cosmo with the MAT tie-in, which is the Return of Ultraman anime. This time it's going to have a new resin figure with it, so that's going to be a new thing there. The resin figure kits have apparently been selling very well for Hasegawa as they continue to do them. They're also going to be doing a complete set of resin figures that they're calling like 1980s Party Girls or something along those lines. I believe it's 2, it might be 3, I'd have to look at the picture again, but it's at least 2 resin figures dressed in 1980s clothes. One has one of those giant brick cell phones, so it's very 1980s. And again, they're resin pieces, and I know some people have oddly really been offended by the inclusion of the resin pieces in some of the stuff, like the eggplant girls and the military kits. So there was one person who was very offended by that. I don't know why. I never did explain to me why they were so offended by it, but when they posted a image of getting the kit on a forum, they blanked out all of the wording for the eggplant girls and the picture. Like, they pixelated it out like it was some sort of smut. It's just a girl in a pair of cutoffs and a bikini. It's literally the least offensive thing you'll ever see, kind of thing. But it is. They wanted to get rid of the figure. They were trying to trade the figure. They had no trouble getting rid of it, obviously. But it's just an odd thing. Some people take this way too seriously sometimes. Let me see what else. They're going to reissue their Toyota 88C Group C car in the Minolta livery. Been a while since it's been out that way. They're also going to be doing a new livery set for it to make it backdated into the STP liveried 87C. Now, I don't know enough about Group C cars to know if there's enough of a difference between an 87C and an 88C, that those should be 2 separate kits and not just one kit with a different set of decals. But if you're into it and you know it and you're good with it, then that's going to be coming out. Like I said, I believe that's a new livery that has not been done in the past. Then on the new tool, or I should say, hang on one second here, modified reissue, they're going to be doing a new version of the new tool Honda Civic, the one that they just did, the Gen 1 Civic. This is what they're calling the Yamato Civic. This was raced in a support series for the Fuji Tour, what we call Grand Champion Touring races. This lower level was populated by like Toyota Starlets and Nissan Cherries and things like that, little small cars. And these guys were literally engineers at Honda, and they decided to sort of skunk works behind the scenes after work a Civic to make it into a vehicle that could enter into this lower touring division that sort of, as I get a support series for the bigger race. And they won the championship 2 out of the 3 years that they raced it. One of the engineers who was the driver, and the guys drug it out and raced it. It was they managed to crank out a little over 150 horse out of the 4-cylinder. They cut the body down, the weight on the car down to under 1,500 kilo, and it was a little go-kart, little pocket rocket, basically. So that's a cool little piece. Be interesting to see if they do in the future a Starlet or a Cherry to sort of do more of these, because I mean, nobody that does little Japanese cars is going to be going, oh god, no, not a Toyota Starlet, oh hey, stop that Nissan Cherry, no, because we'll take them quite anxiously. And then on the brand new tool side of things, this first one is going to have 2 different releases. They're based on the exact same tooling. And it's kind of interesting to see them do both at the same time, because a lot of times we talk about new Hasegawa tooling. We always talk about the ability of them to turn it into race cars, is why the seats, back seats, are separate and things like that. We saw that, of course, with the Monte Carlo Rally version of the BMW 2002, and now with the racing version of the new tool Civic. This is going to be a brand new tool of the Nissan Skyline R31. A lot of people will, that almost needs a major chord, dun dun dun, behind it, because of course Fujimi and Aoshima both make old reissue versions of that kit from back in the in the early mid 1980s. Both Fujimi's and Aoshima's are motorized kits. Fujimi's a little bit better on that end because the tooling is not quite as old. The front end doesn't require you to pound rivets into the wheels and things like that on the Fujimi kit. So like I said, these are brand new tools. These are 3D scanned again. You see a lot of this 3D scan stuff is really, up on the, the Japanese side of things. Be interesting to see, when and if Revell, sort of repopulates their U.S. Not their U.S. division per se, but makes new U.S. focused tooling. If they make U.S. focused tooling going forwards, if they go the 3D scan route, because obviously the 3D scan thing on Revell USA worked for the Foose pickup and the Foose Cadillac. So be interested to see if they continue with that or what's going to be going on, because that 3D scanning obviously could take care of a lot of problems, like the body shapes on the Bronco and the roof on the Mustang and things like that. I understand that you still need a lot of pictures and the little graduated rulers and things like that, but at the same time, the technology exists now to 3D scan entire vehicles, and Aoshima and Hasegawa both use it, and obviously their results are what they are. So the R31 is going to have two, like I said, two different versions. One is going to be a street civilian GTS R. They only made 700 of these in 1989 to do homogenization for the Group A racing series. So this tooling will probably see a number of various civilian versions. There were, there's GTSs, there's GTS-R, there's GTs, there's Tommy Kara did a tuner version of this that Fujimi did a while back. There's a lot of places they can go with this R31 tooling on the civilian side of things. And then there are also, and this gets actually supposed to come out next month in May 1st, before the streetcar, is a Calsonic JTCC version. Obviously, these are basically, the same kits. The 1989 Group A car was very much the civilian car, up to including the side marker repeaters and things like that on the race car. So they didn't have to do a lot of things, tooling-wise. You're just putting a racing interior into it, roll cage, driver's seat, stripping down to a basic dashboard, and then, a racing exhaust and the racing wheels and slicks and things like that. So it's a no-brainer in terms of the way that they've tooled this up, and very interesting to see if they do the other three R31 GTRs that ran in, or GTS-Rs that ran in 1989. There's a Ricoh camera one. There's two more I can't think of the liveries of right now, but it'll be interesting to see if they do all four. They probably will. They should anyway. If not, so hopefully somebody will do the liveries for them. Because right now that adds another thing into the 1989, 90 era JTCC, where there's a lot of players. The BMX Corolla, the BMX Civic, and the Hasegawa 318, the BMW. I should say it should be the BMX M3 back then. But various little bits and pieces that are coming together to make a very formidable JTCC. Lineup back then. There's a lot of M3 liveries I'd love to see made, because there were a lot of M3s that ran that year, and there's only a very few handful of old Studio 27 decals for the Fujimi kit that exists. So, be interesting to see how that all develops. And then their last new tool kit, and this is again a completely new tool, is for the Mitsubishi Colt Galant GTO. I believe it's, let me see, wait, look this up, because I botched it a couple times now, talking about it to other people. It is the MR. Now, this kit represents a Mitsubishi Colt Galant Gran Turismo Obligado from 1970. The MR, it was the most, upgraded version you can, a 1600cc 4-cylinder, double overhead cam engine, and the designer for this car was educated with Japanese but educated in L.A. in California in that design school or that design culture. And so a lot of this of those styling cues are brought into this car. It has sort of a Coke bottle body. It has the short deck, sort of Mustang fastback ducktail rear end to it. So it's kind of interesting to see them take sort of a U.S. influence design and apply it to a small Japanese car. Looking at all these Hasegawa, kits, the only thing that I see that's a minor little nit to pick on my end, just because, is the fact that uh, the Colt is going to be molded in orange, which is sort of neither here nor there. It's not a hard color to cover. The GTS-R street car is going to be molded in dark blue, which I could really do without, although I kind of like the dark blue. I got to research the cars. There were only 700 of them made. They may all have been dark blue, or they may have been specific colors. And then the Calsonic one is being molded in light blue, which is not an issue to me at all because, of course, it's a Calsonic car, and it should be painted Calsonic blue. The Yamato Civic is molded in white because the car is white, so I'm a little skeptical with that, like molding things in color. I don't want to see that become a trend, but I know, again, there are a lot of people out there that enjoy just being able to sort of polish out the plastic and do naked builds of things. So for those people, here's several choices for your summer as well. The Colt is going to be July. The R31 Calsonic is going to be May, and the Street GTS-R is going to be in June. The Yamato Civic is going to be June, and then the reissues will, scatter in over between May and July as they go along. So that's the actual kits out of Japan. To go over to BMAX real quick for some things that they were doing in terms of showing off stuff. They're building out. They haven't shown the complete build yet. That's why we're looking at this weird overhead picture of the Porsche 935 Kremer 2. This is going to have a Valiant livery on it, at least partially, for the, I believe it's the I can't remember what year it is without looking it up. Dang it. But it's a 1,000 kilometers of Nürburgring, which is now, of course, the 6 hours of Nürburgring in modern days. I believe that it may not be this one that I'm showing you, but because there are going to be two different driver options, so two different car numbers. But I believe that one of the ones, it may have been this one, won the race. So, there's that. Curbside, I've seen one person already complain about the fact that it doesn't have the top of the engine in it. And why is the spoiler separate if they're not going to include the top of the engine? Of course, we've talked about this a gajillion times on this channel. The BMAX tools things so that they can modify them later, with the least amount of new tooling, right? It's just smart kit engineering. So perhaps at some point in the future there will be a car with a different rear spoiler setup. K3, K5, K4, K1, there's a whole bunch. Kremer did a whole bunch of sort of upgraded versions of the 935, so we'll see what comes later. Also, I'm not sure what spoiler the cars that ran Macau in Group 5 for the 4 years that they ran Group 5 cars at the Gear Race of Macau, what spoilers they used exactly, so that may also be an option in the future. The other kit that they've shown is the Audi rally car, Group B rally car. So pictures of just the body in white, as it were, and then there's pictures of the chassis. They're building like two of them, one to show a complete build with the skid plates, one to show you the transaxles and all the goodness that's underneath of them. And then here's the completed build. If you notice that the liveries look kind of weird with a big chunk missing out of the Hershey Kiss, as it were. That is because these cars, as they ran in Monte Carlo, were partially sponsored by HB Cigarettes, which is, of course, the German Haas Bergmann brand. So it's a tobacco livery, so we'll see if they include the tobacco livery decals in the actual detail upset, like they're going to do with the Bastros livery parts of the BMW M3 rally car, or we're going to have to wait until Taboo or somebody does the correct decals. But, I mean, being that the only version of this kit is a very, very expensive resin kit, the livery is something we can work on later. Just, to have the kit itself is, great. I'm not even a big rally guy. And then let's take a look at Fujimi. Now, these aren't necessarily going to be Shizuka things because they don't go to Shizuka, but this is sort of their late summer, early fall lineup for 124 scale kits. And you'll see here the top, if I'm trying to look at the image myself and for some reason it's not coming up on my computer. All right, so on the top there is the second version of the new Toyota van that they did. They did the Velfire one, which is, of course, the youth-oriented, needing a full-size van, but marketed towards young professionals, 30s, 40s. This is the stodgy old man van, if you will. This is the Toyota Alphard. This is going to have the executive lounge package, as they call it. So it's like the top of the line Alphard. Basically, they have a whole new front clip on it to make the Alphard front end. The Velfire front end is separate. Anybody who has this kit knows it's a snap-tight kit. It does have a small sheet of real decals in it, which is great. Some of the Suzuki Hustler was missing. It'll be interesting to see if the next version of the Suzuki Hustler is going to have real decals. But new wheels, new front end. I believe there's a couple of interior pieces here and there. And I said, if anybody has this kit knows that the front end is just the whole van basically is just has the side doors tooled into it, and the roof and the back end and the front end are all separate so that they could tool up many versions of this van. Again, with the least amount of new tooling necessary. Now, this Alphard and the Velfire were introduced at the same time 3 years ago, and is now finally getting the Alphard van to come out. And then you notice here the little vehicles here. The one on the left is a Suzuki Hustler. It's going to be molded in what they're calling white pearl, but hey, it's molded in white, so I don't have to buy one of the orange ones or the blue ones. Just so I can do whatever color I want to with it. Other than that, it's just a straight reissue, just a different color. Again, I think I saw something in the translation, which is, machines. So it's kind of odd wording that this may have actual decals in it, at least for the body logos and things like that. It's been one of the things I didn't like about the Hustler kit when it came out was, it's a snap-tight kit. It's this next kits that they do aiming sort of towards the youth builder in Japan. However, they're all Mylar stickers, like a Wheels of Fire Revell kit. So I would, the Velfire van had all these, Mylar stickers for days, but it also had a very small set of decals for the gauge cluster and all of the Toyota logos and all the Velfire logos and things like that to sort of appeal to, a more experienced builder as well as the entry level. And then the cars on the right that are the yellow and the white one, well, these are new kits, if you will. Apparently, for a while now, the Mazda has had a little commuter car called the Mazda Flare. For the longest time now, it's been a rebadged Suzuki Wagon R. I don't know why they've changed things around, because I really don't care about Japanese commuter cars that much to look it up. But they are now producing the Mazda Flare on the Suzuki Hustler rebadging. So this is going to be essentially a Suzuki Hustler with Mazda logos. So it's got a little new Mazda logo for the grille and Mazda Flare wording for the back and Mazda logos for the interior and things like that. There's two different kits. One's going to be molded in white pearl. The other one's going to be molded in, I don't know what the heck they called it here. I wrote it down, I think. Active yellow. So, be that as it may, I believe that the roof is black, molded in black as well, because the roof on those are separate. Again, it's sort of the modular snap-tight style build. Again, if they have a little sheet of decals in there for the Mazda logos, I'm all for it. It'll be kind of interesting. It's a very interesting conversation piece for a U.S. builder to put on display, I think. So there's that, and there's a 700 scale aircraft carrier down there. But we don't talk about those things, so there's that. And then I believe, last but not least, let me check around real quick through my images here, because I've got this that I'm doing now, and plus the regular show for next week and things like that. Yeah, so this is going to be the modelers. Now, this is all resin, but these are going to be the modeler stuff for the late spring through the, I'm going to say, early fall. You notice up top on the left there, you got 2017 Toyota Camry. The day I thought I'd see a Toyota Camry anything, other than maybe like a NASCAR kit, I didn't think this would ever be something that would really be in existence, but haha, there it is. Now, it is going to be a right-hand drive JDM Camry, but I have to buy one because, oh my god, it's a Toyota Camry. I would almost put down everything I'm doing to build a Toyota Camry just to put it on the table, just to have people be aghast at the fact that there's a Toyota Camry. Below the Toyota Camry, the thing that's sort of been, there's two like CAD things here. So the one that's just all in gray is the Toyota 2012 Toyota Mark X 350S. The Mark X is sort of the Japanese version of the Camry. It's got a different front end on it and things like that for the Japanese market, but it's effectively the same size and shape of car. It's a little more sporty. There's actually a current GT3 class race car version of this running around on the Super GT for the 2018 season. Be interested to see if they do that. I will buy one of those instantaneously. Next to it is the 2017 Honda Civic Type R. For May, they're going to be doing like the 2014 or 2015 version that is, the Type R that came out originally. This has the newest things put into it: new wheels, new mirrors, new spoilers, new front and back end. The little garage guys, they're doing a couple more versions of their Prince R380. Sold well in the initial batch, so they're going to run the rest of the cars that ran that year. These, I believe, are going to be available in July. They just went up for pre-order on Hobbylink Japan yesterday. And then up on the top there, the assembled 3D print is a Mugen version of the Honda S660. You may recall they did like a factory stock version of that. So this is going to be the tuner version, if you will. So a lot of parts differences here. And then below that, if you're into Super GT, you know that they've done a version for the Advan car, or not the Advan car, but the number 23 car that the Xnavi car, there you go, that ran 2014, won the championship. And then just recently, like as of like this week, they modified it with new wheels into the Calsonic car, just the number 12 Calsonic car. And these two are going to be the D-Station Advan car and the S-Road Mola car. So with those four, now they're all resin, they're all like $115. So this is not for the faint of heart or the stingy of wallet. But with those two other 2014 GTRs, you can now build all four of them that ran in GT500 in 2014. Dear modelers, we would like a Honda NSX GT and a Lexus, and we would like to build the entire 15-car field for the 2014 GT500. Now, a lot of people will be like, why can't we have the current season? Yeah, okay, that'd be cool too, but we already have a start here. And I'm perfectly fine with building the 2014 season, whatever, I don't care. I just, one of my like long-time little thoughts in the back of my head, goals, has always been to build all of the starting field for the GT500, which is the top tier level of Super GT. It's not technically something that's possible, because there's always been like one livery that wasn't done, or all the liveries were done, but the body style changed, and it's a different car. So hopefully, we'll see what happens in the fall. It would be great to have them keep going with this into. I mean, obviously they could do the 2015, 2016 seasons with these, with the minimal modifications. To keep doing the GTRs, but man, it'd be nice to have the Lexus and the Hondas too. I mean, you're talking about an investment close to like $2,000 in resin, but it would be the most epic diorama ever to have 15 of these cars. Something you probably only really display at like an NNL or something like that, because you would never be allowed to put that big of a diorama out on a table anywhere else. But yeah, I'd be all up for it. I don't know about you guys. And also the 2014 season of Super GT, there are a number of Fujimi appropriate kits. They did kits of the Gainer and the Dixel SLS. That's a 2014 season. Those Live Love Live girls, the anime McLaren MP412C GT3, that's a 2014 kit. The Studi Z4 is a 2014 kit. They of course did the kits for Good Smile Racing for 2014, and there are a couple of aftermarket liveries for other cars that ran the 2014 season. I believe there's one other 2014 car, and I'm failing to remember what it is right now, and I'm not going to pull up the list of the cars that ran, but there are several, like I said, aftermarket liveries that were done as well. So you could build, potentially could build the entire GT500 season, and then several of the GT3 class, because the Guys Against Small Racing won the championship in GT300. So if nothing else, I want to get the Zanabi car done, and then get the Good Small Racing Z4 done, so that I can have the 2 championship cars for 2014 for display. So anyway, guys, I've babbled on enough about my obsession with Japanese touring, Japanese sports car customer racing. So I guess we'll just go ahead and leave it at that. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. Look forward to what you guys will be blowing your money on this summer, and we'll see you guys on